Hey everyone, it's Kieran. I'm just making a really quick video, just a quick review of The Purge election year, which is a movie I just kind of came back from a few hours ago, and I wanted to do a really quick review, just while it's all fresh in my brain, just to get it out there. I don't know how long the film's been out for. I think it's not been out for that long, so I think this is pretty fresh. So hopefully, you guys will kind of get some good advice from this review, and then you can decide whether you want to see it or not. I'm going to kind of avoid spoilers. I don't want to go too far into that, but to be honest, I'm not going to do a spoiler section or anything because I don't really think it's worth it with a film like this. I only really want to do that with kind of bigger movies like comic book movies and all that sort of stuff, things that people are going to get really angry about spoilers for, but there's no like big surprises in the film or anything like that. I'll just be quite to the point, and hopefully you get something out of the review and then maybe helps you decide if you want to go see the film. So at the very start, I guess I'll clear it up and say you're only really going to enjoy this film if you really enjoyed the other Purge movies. And I've spoken to quite a few people, and then I'm quite surprised because a lot of people don't like them, up where I'm from anyway. There's a lot of criticism for them, and a lot of my friends kind of don't think they're that good, but me personally, I really enjoyed the Purge movies. I think they're a lot of fun, and I really like the idea. I think I was drawn in by quite a few other people about this whole dystopian world that they're touching on quite a lot, and I think it's a really interesting slant to the film over some other horror movies. And they certainly do explore that further on in this movie. In the start, we see a lot more of the kind of government, the running of things and all that sort of stuff, because obviously this is set in election year. There's a new character, the senator, who's trying to run for a position after her family's been killed in the Purge 18 or however many years ago, and she basically wants to change the way America's being run for the better. Ultimately, and I suppose unsurprisingly in the end, it really doesn't spend much time on that sort of thing, and we go straight into sort of the purging and all the horror and all that sort of stuff. And I think that's actually my main criticism of the movie. It doesn't really spend too much time developing and exploring this world, which in itself is quite a horrific place. And at times I actually got a Hunger Games vibe. At the very beginning, when you see this room full of all these founding fathers, and then this system they've created, this violent system to control the population and all that sort of thing, I got Hunger Games vibe, just a lot darker, I suppose, and I really enjoyed that. I wanted to see more of that, but ultimately, once the bare minimum has been done to set up these starting pieces, this senator, this new character, along with the Frank Grillo's character in the second one, once they're all set up and in their starting positions, it's kind of all dropped and we just go straight into the purging. And when I was sitting through it, I remember thinking, this is feeling a lot like a Saw movie. It's feeling a lot like they're just descending into how can we make these new creative ways to show ordinary citizens killing people. And I know that's one of the main appeals to the movie for a lot of people. That's the horror, that's the exciting bit, and I understand that, but I feel that the movie suffers for not really trying to do anything different. You know, they're being quite lazy at times, in my opinion. And that's kind of why I say if you're a real fan of the other Purge movies, you're gonna enjoy this film. Don't get me wrong; it's entertaining enough, but it does nothing really to bring people who weren't drawn in by the other movies to this one. If you didn't enjoy those movies, you're not gonna enjoy this film. Probably not anyway. Another thing I felt was it dragged on quite a long time. It was strange. A lot of the time I was sitting and I started to look at my watch thinking, is this going to end now? You know, usually these kind of thriller horror movies are quite short, and I think they're best that way, but I ended up kind of wanting it to end. You know, I wanted them to wrap things up, and so that was something that really bugs me. I don't like movies that feel like they drag, and that really damaged the film in my eyes. So ultimately, should you go see it? I would say if you like horror movies, if you like a good thriller, it's not going to be a waste of your time. I went to see it and I feel like I haven't wasted my time. I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but they don't do anything to reinvent the wheel, which I think is a real shame, because The Purge had a lot of potential, I think, to be a really different and quite a clever horror franchise, but I feel it's kind of lost its path a little bit. And ultimately, I'm left hoping that while that was fun, I hope it's the last one. I don't want them to do another one unless they really go out and try to reinvent the direction they're going in. I think they've ultimately reached the end of the line for this movie franchise. And as you can probably guess from the trailer, you can kind of tell how things are going to end up. And I won't spoil it here, but they reach a point at the end of the film where it could very easily be wrapped up. But at the same time, they do leave the door open for another movie. And if that happens, I'll go see it, I'll support it, and I'll probably be quite excited for it. But I really hope they change the direction, because we don't need another Purge movie like the last two we've had. And ultimately, I don't have complete faith that it'll get another movie. I don't know how successful it'll be. I don't know how successful the other films were, but obviously good enough to turn into a trilogy. But hopefully it stays that way. And I suppose we'll just wait and see. If you've seen Purge Anarchy, you've basically seen Purge Election Year. So in the end, my advice for going to see it is, if you enjoyed the other two movies, or if you like a good thriller with a little bit of horror, a nice tense movie, it's a really good way to kill a few hours. But if you aren't drawn into those kind of films, and if you didn't enjoy the other ones, this film does nothing to convince you to get invested. If you weren't invested already, you're not going to enjoy this movie. It's just going to feel like a waste of your time. So ultimately, it comes down to your prior enjoyment of the other Purge movies and your enjoyment of films in general, what you like. So in the end, I can't really give you much advice other than that. It's basically going to come down to, are you a Purge fan or are you not? This movie does nothing to invent anything new. It doesn't really add much to the franchise. We get a bit more world building, but apart from that, there's nothing really new. So I can't really say much else. So basically, I hope you enjoyed this really quick review. Please forgive the really badly done video quality and anything like that. I'll improve that next time, I promise. This coming week, I'm going to work on doing a few more reviews. I'm going to see a lot. I've got a lot planned. I'm going to try and fire reviews out really quickly for those. So I hope you stick with me for some of that. But anyway, in the meantime, I hope this review was helpful. If you go see The Purge Election Year, I hope you enjoy it, and please let me know what you think. I'd love to hear it. I love talking about films, I love dissecting them, and I like sharing my love of films with everybody. So I hope you enjoy this review, and I hope you got something out of it. And if not, then I'm sorry, and please come back. Hopefully there'll be something for you next time. But in the meantime, thanks for listening, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Thanks very much.